there's this little worm-looking creature that will eat anything you put in front of it, just like a zombie. And just like a zombie, their favorite food is actually brain. So obviously, we need to add these guys to our collection of carnivorous plants. But I've never owned an insane pet like this. So we need to build them a home, stop them from escaping, and then obviously test if their favorite food actually is brain at the end of the video. That's disgusting. But firstly, we need to get them. Guys, I found this website that only sells like microbiology and science lab stuff, but they've got them in stock. And they have an entire rat. They just put the rats in there to feed them. So I am going to try that too, but let's add these guys to our basket and let's buy them. But thanks to next day shipping, these guys arrived before the supplies to build their home. Whoa. I didn't know that the flesh-eating beetles can fly. Yep, as it turns out, our zombie worms are the larvae of something called a carpet beetle. They're called that because their babies, the zombie worms, actually live in your carpets and eat all the dirt, dust, and pretty much anything they can find around them. And after they then bore a hole into your walls to pupate into a beetle, they have wings to help them move on to the next dead animal. So yeah, I didn't know this at first, and now we have to be very careful to not let one of these guys escape and eat us while we sleep. But luckily for our zombie worms, the supplies for their new home arrived a few hours after they did. And to mimic their natural environment the best I can, there are a few things we need to do, starting with their walls. But we can't actually build a background inside of here, because if I do, then the beetles will be able to walk out and escape. And not only that, but if we use something like foam for a background, they'll actually eat into that to pupate, which isn't really too good for our new pets, as we'll see later on. But seeing as these guys come from forests, I found a nice picture of moss on Google to print and stick onto the back of the tank. And as usual, had the normal 1 hour fight with the printer to get it to work. Ah yes, exactly what we wanted. I don't know why printers are like this.
It's a bit of elbow grease.
And now that our background is finally up, let's give them some peat to live on, which is very similar to what our zombie worms would have in the forest, with a bit of perlite mixed in so that it doesn't compact too much over time. I kind of want to have it dip like that because I want to put some cool things in the middle. And just so we can actually see our zombie worms walking on the ground when we feed them later on, let's add a thin layer of sand over the soil. Damn, the sand is wet. Well, while we let the sand dry by the dehumidifier, we can put this stuff on. It's called Fluon, and it's supposed to make the edges really slippery so that our bugs actually can't escape if they somehow manage to climb up the edges. And now that the Fluon is on, all we need to do is get the dried sand and finally sprinkle it over the soil to finish off the walls and floor for our zombie worms, and move on to making this forest of ours look a bit more realistic with some decorations. Now, although all these sticks, leaves, moss, and a couple rocks will make this feel like a real home for our zombies, each one of them are also quite important for them. The moss gives them somewhere damp to hide and rehydrate, which is how I will also water them. And honestly, I really love how the real moss kind of blends in with the moss in the background to make it look like one big mossy carpet. The rocks help stabilize the soil so that it doesn't just become one flat tank of sand, and along with the leaves, they both give our zombies somewhere to hide because they are actually nocturnal and like to stay hidden. And of course, these sticks give the worms something to burrow into and pupate, and the beetles something to climb on. Now I've obviously left quite a big open spot at the front, and that's because we have a couple more things to give them. My favorite part of these pet videos are things that I'll call furniture, and for our zombie worms, there are two pieces of furniture I really want to add. The first one is something I made to 3D print. I'm sure you can kinda guess what it is already, but while it prints, we can get started on our other piece of furniture, some sofas and a picnic table, both of which will help our zombies grow, but also help us when we feed them later on. Now this styrofoam might look like a bit of garbage to you, but to me it looks like an experiment. So we're gonna make a custom feeding dish for them. This is because later on when we feed our zombies, I want to test 3 things they apparently eat around your house. So we need them to all be separate from each other. This looks like something that you guys in America would put your school slop on.
Hell no, man. What the?
Obviously, where I'm from, South Africa, we didn't even have food, so. I was going to actually paint or draw on this a bit and make it look like a picnic table, but then I realized maybe this stuff is toxic to our pets, but there's still one more thing I want to build. You can't have a picnic table without some chairs, right? So we're gonna give them some chairs to go around the sides. Now, of course, these couches and feeding dish don't look the best, especially compared to the perfect 3D prints that are nearly finished, but that's kind of the whole point. Not only will the styrofoam get extremely dirty while stopping the food from leaking into the soil, which makes it replaceable, but styrofoam is also meant to be safe for our zombie worms, as they will bore into it to sleep and pupate. And even the glue I used is something that they can eat, although I kinda changed my mind about the styrofoam later on. But now that the couch and picnic table are done, let's take a look at our 3D prints. Guys, the 3D print is done. Nice. Obviously, our zombies need some bones around them to remind everyone about how dangerous they actually are. It's a humerus. It's your arm. If you didn't know, the stuff I'm pulling off here are called supports. They just support the weight of the thing you're trying to print, and then you pull them off afterwards. And I'm sure there's someone out there that knows what animal this is. Just so you know, it is a little bit smaller than it's meant to be. And with just a couple more decorations, I think this tank is starting to look really good now. Now obviously there's still a really big gap here at the front, and there's a really good reason for that too. For our experiment. However, before we can add our zombies into their home and do our experiments, we have to make sure they are comfortable, and it doesn't take much to keep them happy. Firstly, we've got this huge heat mat so we can keep our little beetles nice and warm. Then we set their thermostat to the temperature they like, give it some power, and then plug the heat mat into the thermostat. And just like that, they've got some warmth. I also got a heat gun to measure the temperature of their soil for when we remove the probe. And of course, a spray bottle to give them enough water to drink from their moss. And after letting it warm up, it's finally time to add our zombie worms into their new home and do some experiments. Now the thing is, I've obviously said that we need to figure out a way to not let them fly out, but I've read up and it seems like they don't fly very far, so we'll try putting in a couple and see if they do fly out, and if they do, we've got a problem, but if they don't, then we're all good. So let's start off with these guys here. Oh, that one just jumped out. Please don't tell me that this guy's gonna literally just walk out. Even with the flu on. Well, luckily I have a backup, guys, so let me get this flesh-eating beetle back. Okay, let's close them up. I have an idea, guys. I have a plan for this. I don't know where I got the idea, but I thought about placing tape on all of the corners so that they couldn't actually get a good grip, and it seems like it's going to work. And we've got our one little test beetle in there, and she hasn't been able to escape. So let's add them all in and see what happens. For now, our zombie worms are loving their new home. They're exploring all over the place, hiding under leaves and rocks, and our beetles are even climbing their sticks and finding new places to hang out. And it even seems like our tape corners are working. That is until they did the one thing I keep talking about.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, oh.
Oh, yeah, they don't fly very far, but they do fly around your house. Okay, I need to...
Go, sweetie, please go get that thing that you use on your computer while I watch them. Wasn't expecting that, honestly. I wasn't. Wow. Well, now that they are happy in their new home and can't escape anymore, it's time for those experiments I keep talking about. And for our first experiment, we'll use that picnic table we made to test if they really do eat random stuff from around your house. And the first thing we need to get is a dead mouse. Most people will eventually get a dead mouse in their house, and this is what they were feeding the zombie worms before we got them. So I went to pick one up from my friend Nathan, the same guy who actually taught me about these zombie worms.
So we've got mice, rats, guinea pigs, rabbits, chicks, quails, hamsters, gerbils, African soft-fed rats, everything in here. What is it you're after?
I just want something kind of like that size.
So we do have small wiener rats. So these are a type of rat.
That's crazy. I think that will work, yeah.
Go for that one?
Yeah, that's the right size. But you don't have something like a snake or something?
Not here, no snakes here, but I do have some of my own things in the freezer, so I can dig something out for you.
Now, I asked him this because he has a collection of cool animal things at his house, which you'll see in a couple minutes. But I actually want to use the snake he gives us as a surprise gift later on. But before we do that, let's test our zombie worms. Here we have dog biscuits, because they apparently eat this if they don't have any meat around. Here we have KFC, because if you ever were a child, you probably dropped a chicken nugget once. And of course, the dead mouse we found in our roof. So let's find out which one they prefer. To my surprise, our zombie worms absolutely demolished the dog kibble. That is by far their favorite food right now, and it seems like they don't even like the one thing they're known to eat, the mouse. Now, although they even chose the chicken nugget before the mouse, there might be a reason for this. The people who fed the zombie worms before me just threw the mouse straight in, and I obviously copied them to see if they'd like it, but clearly they don't. You're actually meant to dry their food out a bit first and remove its organs before feeding the zombie worms. And seeing as it took 2 weeks for them to eat this rat, I have a pretty nasty task to do after I get the snake from Nathan if I want him to get his gift in time. That's actually like insane.
Yeah, oh yeah, the colours, like, I mean, if you look at the colours on these guys, like you got purples all the way to like a turquoise. So it's just getting them in the lights and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's almost like bronze out of the box.
Is that a beetle also?
Yeah. This is a stag beetle, species of stag beetle.
Jeez. Like you can't even get it on camera how it's like, it's literally bronze.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's so difficult to pick colours up on camera.
That one's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I really wish I had a camera that could... That's like shiny.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Nathan obviously has a huge passion for animals, so make sure to check out what he has on his own channel, TNN Reptiles. But when you love animals like he does, you'll eventually face some heartaches. What happened to it?
Stillborn, just born,
Yeah.
not made it, and you can see its yolk stack still not closed up.
Oh yeah,
So
that's interesting, eh?
just didn't make it.
Yeah, poor guy. Now, I would really like to use our zombie worms to do something like this for his snake here. Because if you didn't know, people in science labs actually use these zombie worms to eat away all the meat from a specimen to reveal the skeleton so that they can study it without it getting damaged, seeing as the little worms are much more delicate than a human could ever be. As I explained earlier, I have to prepare the specimen by performing a full evisceration and then drying it out, which I have done before as part of my university degrees, but this doesn't make it any less gross. And after a few days of our specimen drying out, we can finally see how our zombie worms react to something that has been prepared the way they prefer it to be. And guys, they absolutely love this. Way more than the dog kibble. They completely swarmed the specimen as soon as I put it in and were finished in like 8 hours. Look at that. That's crazy. I mean, they've broken off some of the ribs, so I think we should get it out before they keep damaging it. I don't want to give Nathan a snake that has no ribs at all. As Nathan told us earlier, this specimen was very underdeveloped, which is why its ribs fell off so easily. But we can still see how the zombies were able to get in between each and every rib to get that meat. But seeing as I did feel a bit bad about giving him a snake that was missing some parts, I also 3D printed him another snake that he can add to his collection. Guys, they obviously really loved the snake, but now it's time for us to check out the one thing that we know all zombies love. Yep, like I promised at the start of this video, we are going to feed our zombie worms brains, as this is meant to be their favorite meal. Now, I'm not going to show the raw brain on camera because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube, but just so you know, some people actually do eat this. And I got it online from a specialist grocery store. I prepared it the same way as we did with the snake, by taking a small sample and drying it in the desiccation chamber. Like, I understand how some people might eat this, you know, like Liver King, get your gains, but for me, this is kind of nasty. Now, what I found pretty insane is that dry brain is actually a very healthy treat that people feed to their dogs. It's meant to be full of nutrients, minerals, and oils like omega-3, but yeah, I still think it's gross, and if you don't want to see a dried specimen of this, look away now, because it's time to feed our worms their favorite meal. Alright guys, and now for the part we've all been waiting for, and apparently this is their favorite food. Let's get it in and see how they react. And they seem to love it. In fact, so many of them swarmed towards the brain that they even dragged a leaf over it. Now, of course, it took them much longer to eat than the snake, but that's probably because the snake had like nothing on it, whereas this brain is full of nutrition and fat and is a much bigger meal for them. However, while the zombie worms finished off their brain, I prepared Nathan's gift by collecting every single rib that fell off, and Karen added some gift wrapping to make it all look nice.
Nathan!
This is for you.
For me?
Yeah. So
I get nervous.
open up and tell me what to do.
Okay. Oh, no way. Wow.
What am I having? Nothing.
They've done a really good job on that, haven't they?
They obviously were so young, so they took some ribs. So I collected them for you.
Oh, you expected me to stick them
No.
on?
No.
I wasn't sure if you'd like it, so if you take everything out and look in the bottom, there's something else for you.
In where?
In there, there's something else at the bottom of all that.
No, no way.
Oh, wow.
There we go. So I'll definitely have to put that in the reptile room, won't I? Oh, no way, that's ace.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's so cool.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, I know it's unrealistic, guys, but I wanted to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. So if you enjoyed the video, please would you consider subscribing? And I want to thank Nathan and Terra Green for helping me with this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.